Welcome to the Be Circle podcast. Together, let's be all God called us to be. Let's dive in.
Hello, welcome to the Be Circle. We're so glad you're joining us today. Whatever platform, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, you watch or listen, thank you for doing so. Please like, follow, and subscribe to our channel. That just helps us to be able to help you even more. So thank you, our viewers, our listeners. We are so appreciative. Well, ladies, it's the month of May, and we are heading into Mother's Day.
In May.
And we thought in May is Mother's Day. And we thought that it would be great since it's May and it's Mother's Day if we brought a mama on to talk about the things we wish our moms would have told us.
Yes.
So we have Sheila here, who is Tish's mom.
Yeah.
She's actually the mom of the Be Circle.
Yeah. Yeah.
She takes care of us on our recording days. She cooks for us. She cleans for us, and she makes our producer look really good.
Yes.
So thank you, Sheila.
Yes.
But I would like to say to you, if you're watching or listening, we may talk about some things today that maybe is not suitable for your children. So we're just giving you a forewarning. You might want to have them leave the room. Because we're going to talk about some things that we wish our moms would have told us. So, Tisha, we're going to let you start because it's your mama.
You know, I think my perspective is so different. My mom can go on her side of things, but my perspective was mom was so open with me. So I truly can't say that, oh, I wish mom would have told me this, because mom, she had the sex talks with me. She had the drug talks. She had the talks of, no, all your friends can come here. You're not going out. Have the party here. And when I say party, I'm not talking alcoholic party.
Sure.
Everybody's coming, hanging out at the house. And it was the fun house. And so mom made a point at a very young age to instill those things in me, which then in return, I never wanted to go to a party, never went to a party in my life. I never wanted to go out and drink and do drugs because she was so open. And I also witnessed some of those things in my family.
Yeah.
And so seeing my family go down the drug road, the alcohol road, you know, it was just the automatic things of, no, I'm not doing that. And so mom's openness gave me a perspective of me not having to go down those roads and me not wishing that I knew anything. You know, she didn't hide stuff.
So question then. Okay. You were open with her. Was your mom open with you?
My mom was not.
Okay.
So there was never any, hey, let's talk about sex, or you could ask a question that even pertained to that.
Right. Mine wasn't even.
That was like, oh, that's a bad word. We don't want to talk about that. Just forget, you know?
Yeah.
And so with saying that, then the curiosity kills the cat.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then you go out and you're like, well, my mom didn't talk about it, so I'm going to figure this out on my own.
There you
Right.
So let me experiment. So when you do those things, then it leads down to the wrong path, and it leads quickly. And so my mom never talked about sex, drugs, alcohol, which in their day, it wasn't.
It was taboo.
And so when it came to her, I'm just like, we're going to talk about this.
Come
and
on.
We're going to be loud, and we're going to just talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, because if I keep it secret, then you're going to go out and be doing it. You're going to do what I done. You're going to make the mistakes that I made.
Right.
So if I'm talking about it and if I'm verbal about it, then you're going to be comfortable, and you're not going to be telling all your other friends and trying to figure out the questions.
Or learn it from your friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
then she was able to just be open with me, and I didn't hard judge. Like, I can remember, like, there was an incident in 3rd grade that she came home and she said a cuss word, and I looked at her and
my friends.
Dora, and
you doing?
Thanks.
So
Dora did
I'll
smart.
down. But she came home and she said a cuss word, and she used it in the right term. And I,
What was that?
and you know, she just said, well, and she just said it.
What was the word?
I think she said, oh, shit.
Oh.
And I'm like, so then the next day I was like, okay, now listen, some things that get said at school, you don't repeat those things because sometimes those are not right. She's like, but I didn't know, Mom. I just said it. And I said, I understand, but okay, so if you don't know a word and somebody's saying in front of you, you come home, you ask me, and I'll tell you if that's proper or not.
So you opened the door for her to be comfortable
Yes.
to ask questions.
Yes.
You know, I remember even Mom going to the extent of, I don't want you going out and having sex, but I know how teenagers are. That's not, we follow God's word in this house. But if you decide that you're making that decision and going against what God wants you to do, then you better be coming to me because we're getting birth control.
I did the same thing with one of my children. I did the same thing. I said, look, if you're going to hang out with these people and you're going to do this, we're going to get on birth control pills because I'm not going to have you pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. Because let's be honest, we get a 16-year-old pregnant, 15-year-old pregnant. Yes, that baby's a wonderful gift from God, but it changes that young girl's life forever. Nothing is ever the same. We take away their innocence. We take away their adolescence. It's all destroyed in one moment because one mama didn't do her job.
Right.
So, and there was like, and mom and dad, there was no way. And so my mom's sister was my go-to. My aunt. I was really close to her. And so like I would go vent to her house. I would be like, listen, I'm not doing what's right. This is what. All right. Well, I know the doctor. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, and so, not that I'm proud of those moments. And I'm not saying that my mom and dad did not, raise me in church, and they trained the best they knew how.
Sure.
They raised two different generations pretty much. My brother and me are 12 years apart. So kindergarten, high school, you know, and so a lot had changed in 12 years of when they had started raising my brother to me.
Right.
And they just didn't go with change very well, so to speak. They just didn't. And I'm not saying that you have to do everything that's modernly in front of you, but I made that vow. Like when I had her, I'm like, I am going to be open.
Good for you.
I'm not doing it that way. And not that I don't love my parents, because my parents are the greatest people on this earth. But if I didn't want my kid walking through the things that I walked through.
Right. Absolutely. And which we can all say in the circle that we see the results of you being open with Tisha, because her life exudes the fact that you were open and honest and you set her up not to fail. You know, so many people are being set up to fail. So girls, what is it? What do you wish your moms would have told you?
You go first. This was a tricky one for me because I kept thinking, what do I wish? What do I wish? What do we talk about? And for me, Mom, if you're watching, this is no knock to you. My mom was a single mom, then married, divorced, single. And so as we were growing up in high school and things, the focus was take care of my babies. My work jobs, multiple jobs, take care of the house because I'm a divorced, and woman now. And so I wish that she would have talked to me about sex more openly. And that conversation wasn't had until after I became a teen mom. Now we can talk about sex because I done had it now.
After you done already did the deal.
That's the do. I know what to do.
I don't need you to tell me now. I know how it works.
And I even asked my sister, I was like, what do you wish you would have known more too? Because I'm like, I keep coming back to this. And that was the same thing for her. And then I appreciate what you just shared. But for her, it was the talk because Mom wanted her to get on birth control. So what happened to sister don't happen to you. And she's like, but why am I even getting on this? So having that conversation, not just I'm doing this or you're doing this, but why? I would have liked more why.
More why.
So why is this important? Why we value this. And so like you said, now raising young men, it's an open book. And you can come and talk to us about anything. And we're upfront and honest with our kids. And we're not going to sugarcoat nothing. I tell people, I don't know about the birds and the bees. I know about sex.
There you go.
So that's what we're going to talk about.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And we're going to talk about, the importance of it and why you should value being a virgin and waiting till you're married. And even if you don't do what I have, instructed or what I've shared or put on my heart, it was my responsibility to talk to you about it.
That's right.
And I think my parents didn't talk about it either. As a matter of fact, the word sex was a dirty word. In our house. So, I can remember if couples would hold hands or touch each other, my dad would say, look at those stupid people necking in public like that.
Right.
So therefore, when I got married, I didn't want to hold hands in front of my dad. I didn't want my husband to put their arms around me because it was dirty.
Yeah.
It was considered dirty. So I wish that my parents would have explained to me how it worked. I knew nothing. I had my future sister-in-law is the one that before I got married set me down and said, "Are you on the pill?" No, I didn't even know what the pill. I mean, I didn't know. I had a stranger take me and get all that situated for me. So I knew nothing. I went in dumb, and one of the things that I have said to some of my children is, first of all, it's not dirty.
Right.
It's ordained by God.
Right.
But you got to find your comfort level. I talked to my kids. I told the guys, don't be having sex outside of marriage. But if you mess up, repent, admit it, and quit it. But my mom didn't tell me nothing. Nothing. So I subsequently was one of those that just almost felt like sex was a rape session. In my first marriage, I just felt like every session of sex, I was getting raped. I didn't know how to enjoy sex. I didn't know how to enter into sex because it just felt like it was dirty and unclean because nobody explained to me the biblical understanding of what was going on and that it's okay. It's not dirty. It's okay to enjoy it. And I know this is strong language, but listen, we got to talk about these
We
things.
do need to talk about these. My mom was the same way. She did not talk about it. And everything was, you do as I say, not as I've done or I do.
Yes.
And what's done and said in this house stays in this house. So I wish my mom would have talked to me about those things, but I wish she would have talked to me about being a wife, being a good friend. All of those things I had to learn later in life. And that's a knock to her because I have a wonderful mom, but she taught what she knew.
Yeah.
From their perspective.
From
They taught
her
it.
perspective, And so I experimented because I didn't know. And I wanted to know what everybody else was doing and why was this great. And I'm going to be real frank. I experimented and I was like, what's the hype about? I'm not like, why is everybody saying that? That's
because nobody taught us to. You didn't know. You're like, oh, okay.
You're like, okay, well, that's okay.
That's all there is to this.
Okay. But in doing that, I didn't even feel comfortable asking questions because I felt like she'd be like, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Why do you want to know that?
Yeah,
exactly.
And so even with my own children, I just found out because I asked my oldest, I said, what do you wish I would have talked to you more about? And she said sex. I was like, she wants sex?
Be the topic.
She's like, no, Mom, you didn't. You gave me a book that explained my body and my changes. And I was like, did it talk about sex? She said, no, Mom.
And you know why we did it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I might be thinking for you, and if I'm wrong, tell me. But I know what I would have done that because it was uncomfortable. Nobody ever did it with me.
Yep.
Right.
So you want to avoid the awkwardness. Oh, this is a good little book. Let me give them this little book. And let because I remember trying to talk to one of my kids, and it was and the reaction was awkward and uncomfortable. But I thought, I'm plowing through this anyway. I'm plowing through this anyway. We are not going to be uncomfortable about this. And, it was awkward. It was all those things. But I believe in the end, I was the winner and so were they.
Right.
Because we had the conversation.
Yeah.
And another thing I wish that my parents or my mom would have talked to me about was just how to treat people. How to, like you said, how to be a good friend. I watched my parents traveled from place to place to place. I went to a different school almost every year of my life, never really had any grounding or roots. So therefore, the attitude in my home was if they don't receive you, shake the dust off your feet as a testimony against them. In other words, what they were saying is that they don't agree with you, then let's just get out of here. So then we grew up thinking if people don't agree with us, then we can't be around them. That's not the case. I have found that the people I disagree with the most grow me the most.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think for me, I'd say the same thing because I don't know where, and I would pretty much, and if any of my aunts or my uncles are listening, this is just the way that I saw it from my perspective. If they disliked somebody, then we all had to dislike.
Yeah.
Like my grandparents had neighbors 2 doors over, and my grandpa couldn't stand the way he kept his yard and let it, go, and he'd get so mad and fussy. So we all would drive by that house and be like, "Ew, look at his yard." But that's how we grew up doing
Yeah.
it. So I wish I would have been taught some more key things about just being a friend.
A good friend.
Just
How to be a
being
good
a
friend.
nice person.
Yeah.
Because and I'm not saying this to be funny. I have struggled with that. I've struggled with
Me
being
too.
nice because I'm a very like my way, the highway type person. I've had to learn that sometimes there is a little gray area. Sometimes you do have to tread a little lightly till somebody trusts you so you can speak more clearly to them or whatever. So I wish I would have had that way more in my life than what I did.
Wow.
That's good.
As I'm sitting here listening to all this talk, and I'm sitting here, what we didn't have, and I think what I'm trying to say or what my sister was trying to say, just to know that the conversation could have been had.
Yeah.
And it was okay to ask the questions and talk, or just conversation. Again, just how we were raised and the time that we were raised in the season of my mother's life, just asking, how was your day, girls?
Yeah.
How are you doing today? And what's going on in your world? And even when our kids come over, they're 2 of them out of the house. Well, how's your day? What's been going on in your world? We provoke thought in them because they're not just going to openly and just start talking. And so I intentionally, me especially, draw it out of them. And what do you think about that? And how did that make you feel? And what do you think about that? But just knowing that, boys, you can talk about anything. You can ask any question. Even if we don't agree with you, even if you messed up, we'll work through this.
Absolutely.
But you always can talk to us about anything. I'd rather you come to us first and then try to seek out the answers somewhere else because we're going to keep your heart at interest first.
Right. Yeah, because we have the best interest of your heart. And I think that's what is so sad in my life is all that could have been prevented if somebody would have just opened their mouth and talked and said, don't do this. Don't, but never. It was always after the fact.
Yeah.
And we don't need it after. We need it before.
Right.
One of the things with when Tisha was younger, I would be like, just like, I've talked in the Bree circle several times, is not everybody's in your corner. And so if you go out and spread all that stuff, they're going to use it against you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to use it against you. So let's just talk about it. Let's just see what we can work through. And if I don't have the answers, we're going to get them somewhere. Whether which Google wasn't back then, but, just look it up. Let's get a book on it, whatever that may be, whatever resource.
Yeah.
And but I have learned with the open conversation, it's drew people in.
Yeah.
Because,
even my friends growing up.
Yes. There was nothing to have 12 or 13 kids there on Friday and Saturday night.
Same.
But they felt comfortable and they talked about it all.
Everything. I remember us sitting in Denny's restaurant, and my friend at the time, mom knew in her spirit that he was out having sex. She just cornered him in the restaurant. We were all there eating. She was like, listen, buddy, I know what you're doing, and you can tell me you're not, but I'm open enough that I will go buy you condoms if I have to, but you need to tell me.
See?
And you know what? That boy didn't get a girl pregnant in high school.
No.
He didn't have kids till after school.
See, we need parents like this again. And if you are a parent, you're listening, you're watching, come on, talk to your kids. Be open with your kids. Tell them the truth. If you got a daughter getting married, set her down. Tell her what to expect.
let her know that a guy wants it all the time. I mean, come on. That girls don't know that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
No, they don't know that.
Girls don't know that. You get married, think, to have and to hold. Baby, they want to have more than they want to hold. I
That's
just
right.
need you to know that.
Yeah.
That's right.
But somebody needs to tell you that.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, they're going to find they're going to find the information somewhere. And social media with this generation of kids will shift them in such a drastic wrong way that we might as well just have the conversations up front.
Yep.
No, I was a youth pastor before coming under PA and Pastor Mark, and I was open with the kids. We'd talk about purity. I mean, I remember that time in my life in youth group, I took that vow. My youth pastor was open enough that I took that vow, and still to this day I've kept it because I made a covenant that day, and so that's something I have always been so big on. In youth group, we're going to talk about it: sex, pornography, drugs, alcohol, whatever it is, because the world is showing it to you and you can pick it up at any moment. So we might as well guide the right way.
That's right. That's right. And you know what the world says? And I heard this. One of my sons told me about this, that what the world is saying now is if you need to learn, watch porn.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've heard
And what they're doing is they're opening up a door
that.
and they're addicting these kids
Yes.
at a young age.
Yeah.
And my son said something to me that I just never thought about. He said, guys nowadays are not as interested in women as they used to be because they've watched so much porn and have gotten themselves erotic by watching the porn. They don't even need a woman anymore.
Right.
And I thought, whoa,
Yeah.
It's truth.
Yeah.
that is truth.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is truth.
Well, and we talked about those sexy books and all that on the one episode.
The Harlequin
Yeah.
romances.
Yeah.
And so it's making even the women, they get such a fantasy in their mind that then when they do get married, then nobody's living up to their expectations
right.
because
They've
they've
let
watched all of this junk.
Right. You have romanticized, like we said on another podcast, what your expectations are. And all you've really done is set your spouse up for failure.
Failure.
Exactly.
That's what you've done.
Because I
yeah.
don't know one man that I know in my life that is a Clint Eastwood. Now, come on, let's be real. Or a Denzel Washington or anything like that. I mean, no, come on.
Yeah.
Or,
But we watch that stuff,
LL Cool J.
and that's what we want.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
And it's just not reality. It's
It's
not real.
Right.
It's not, so I think there's a lot of things, like, especially like people our age, probably.
What's our age? Don't say it. Just keep going.
Well, we look good for our age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. You
do.
do.
We do. I'm not going to lie. We look good for our age. But
Things we wish our mothers would have taught us.
right.
It's not to talk about how good. Humility.
Humility. My dad used to say, well, never mind.
Yeah. Well,
He would say he liked my mom, the pastor's wife, when they were on a date, to dress a little sleaze with ease.
sleaze with ease.
He said, date night, I don't want to date the pastor's wife. Date night, I don't want to date my best friend.
So that's where Pastor Julie gets their
That's
date
where
night
she
clothes.
gets her date night
Yeah.
clothes and the church clothes.
Yes.
Now we get it. Thank you, Brother Ferguson in heaven. What was that now? Sleaze with ease?
Sleaze with ease.
Sleaze with ease.
He bought my mom a V-neck. She still has it in her closet. She wore it for her. I threw her a sweet 60th, and it's a V-neck, and it's the whole dress is fringe.
Love it.
He loved it. It's bright red.
Things I wish my mom would have told me.
Right.
How to be sleazy with my husband. No.
No, sleeves with ease.
Oh, sleaze with ease. Oh, okay.
Ease with
Okay.
ease.
All right. No.
I don't know what I was going to tell you because I got caught up in that.
Well, it'll come. Bring it back to her remembrance, Lord. Get rid of the sleaze and bring it back to ease, whatever. Things I wish my mom would have told me.
Yes.
Well, what else, guys? Shisha, there's nothing. You can't think of one thing that you wish Sheila would have told you.
No, because, she really was that real. Even with the things of, even down to like hospitality and hosting people and
That's evident
all
in
of
your
those
life.
things.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Mom walked that out before me every single day. And so she was an open book. And I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
So grateful for that because it saved me a lot of heartache.
And now we think Tisha's the mom and Sheila's the kid.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I raised her. I'm done.
Now she's trying to raise you.
Yeah. She does do that sometimes.
She does. She's like, this
Mom,
is
get
woman.
it together.
Do that.
Yeah.
You did it. You taught her.
I know.
At the shop, I'll be going, dude.
Yeah, I get that a lot at the shop.
Calm that tone down. That's what I'm saying. Calm that down.
That's for another podcast.
Do that now.
Yeah.
I do it all the time.
Wow.
So what else for you? What else do you wish your mom would have taught you or told you that she didn't?
I don't mean no disrespect, but my mom didn't tell me anything. Let's just talk about what I'm grateful for.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question.
Yeah, let's talk about what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for the foundation of the Word of God and salvation. I'm grateful for the foundation of ministry that my dad instilled in me. Those are the things I'm grateful for. God has been good to me, that He's restored and brought restitution in my life through my husband, Mark, and God for the things where I was lacking that I didn't get, that I needed as a child and a young adult. God has been faithful to send people, Donita, different ones in my life that has stepped in and been that person, that figure to lead me and to guide me. And I'm grateful for that. So I'm grateful, instead of talking about what I didn't get, because there's so much I didn't.
Right.
I'm grateful for what I did get, which is the Lord.
Yes.
And the love for Pepsi.
You know what I love, though?
Pepsi.
Is when we are lacking in those areas, God is so faithful to bring the right people in the right time to show us. Because, He just leads and guides, and if we'll submit to that, and submit to those people. So He's faithful to bring mama and daddy figures in our life.
Yes. And I often think about what I wasn't taught or what I didn't learn. And then I have to think about where their life was while they were walking through the pressures, the pain, the not understanding that maybe they checked out. And so that is our goal, I think, mothers sitting around the table, except for this one, she was perfect. Except for us sitting around that we make sure that we be everything to our kids, whether they're young, grown, that our parents weren't to us.
Really, PA, in all honesty, they probably were never taught that
either.
themselves.
That's right.
Right.
That generation, my mom's parents, they worked all the time, sun up to sundown. Grandma raised the kids. When you have more than, I just have the one. So my focus was her. I lived, eat, and breathed her. Whatever we needed to go do, we went and done.
Sure.
But I never left her alone either.
Right.
I had the job capability to where I could go whenever she'd say jump and I'd say how high. What food you want brought? You know what I'm saying?
You know, spoiled brat you.
I can tell you I was spoiled. I was.
But I was able to do those things.
Yeah.
And that's a blessing.
Yeah.
Mom and dad made that possible for me.
For you. Yes.
And so, but not only to my kid. I have several kids out there that
you're the mother of many.
And those are my kids. And I will tell you, Sergio, he's my kid. Holly, she's my daughter.
Yeah.
But those kids stayed around. And not where Sergio's not in church all the time, but he will come to church. And I'll say, your mama really wants you to come to church.
Right.
Yeah.
So still being a mother and pulling them in.
Absolutely.
And God gave me those kids.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And so, but I just think that our parents didn't know enough to tell us because they became workaholics to provide for what and do what they needed to do for us.
Absolutely.
I mean, I that is true. And that's very much the story. My mom worked 3 jobs. She was a single mom and she worked 3 jobs, so there was many times where her choice was the neighbor had to watch me or something, and we lived away from family. There wasn't daycare back then. You didn't send your kids to daycare, and she relied on this lady that lived across the hall from us. So I think during that time, the moments that we got to go do stuff, she always made exceptional. You know, we didn't have a lot of money, but we went to Frankenmuth, which is a Christmas town in Michigan.
Michigan, I've been there.
Frankenmuth,
It's so
it's
cool.
my favorite. It's my absolute favorite.
Yes.
But for me, we didn't go in and buy anything, but she would pack sandwiches and chips. We'd go to the little park by the bridge, and that day would be all about what I wanted to go look at.
Yeah.
So the times that we had alone when she wasn't working her fingers to the bone, she made sure that those moments count.
We're special.
Yeah.
That's so wonderful.
And I'm grateful for that.
Amen.
I'm grateful for that. And my mom used to tell me, I loved you so much, I know that I smothered you. And that's just how she gives love. She's a smother.
So are you.
Why? Sorry.
It's okay. We like that about you, but I'm just saying, I know where you're getting at now.
Yeah, you know.
Julie hovers over you. She's a hover. She's a hover lover.
A hover lover. With my sleeves with ease, right? But no, I was just saying those moments meant a lot when we lived on what was it? The oil that used to burn in the houses in one of one of our houses, and she didn't have the money to refill it. So what did she do? She turned our oven on. She put blankets up. She made us like a little camp out session. And we were going camping for a couple of days.
Yeah. But you didn't know it was because...
But I never knew we didn't have money.
That's so wonderful.
I never knew we didn't have money.
That's so
not till
wonderful.
much older.
Wow. That's awesome. What was you going to say?
You know, I was just thinking of even Mom saying, you know, all of those kids were her kids. I think no matter what age you get at, you need to constantly be searching, who can I mother in this season? Because there is a generation of people that need spiritual mothers. And so that gifting never goes away.
No.
But you got to seek those people out who are willing to receive that. You know, I look at, I mean, even PA said it. I mean, Pastor Donita is our spiritual mama.
Yes, she is. She belongs to us.
You even prophesied over Amber that one day. All the things you wished you had in your mom, God sent it to you through her, you know? And I've watched Mom grow in that. Even, yes, me and all my friends when I was younger and still to this day, but even the people in the church, I'm watching that gift just continue to flourish. And I think we've got to cultivate that again.
We do. It's got to be cultivated. So if you're a mother and you're watching or listening, first of all, we want to say Happy Mother's Day to you.
Yeah.
But if you failed in some areas, just go back.
Yes.
Redo it.
Yes.
Just go back and say, I'm sorry. I wish I would have talked. If your kids are grown, maybe you need to have that talk with your daughter and say, hey, you know, listen to a podcast the other day of things that they wish their mother would have told them. If I failed you in any area, I apologize to you.
Yeah.
Can I make it up to you now? Is there anything that you'd like to talk about that we don't talk about?
Right.
Because I love you and I want you to be the best. I don't want you to make the mistakes I've made. I want you to learn from my mistakes. You know, if you've messed up, just go fix it. It's as easy as saying, I am so sorry that I messed up and I missed what you needed.
Yeah.
And I want to give you what you need now. Hey, go be all you can be. Go be the best mother and be the best grandmother that God's created you to be. We'll see you the next time on the B Circle. Thank you, Sheila, for being with us.
Yes.
Thanks for watching or listening to The B Circle. If this week's podcast helped you, or if you want to know more, please contact us at thebcircle@gmail.com. Join us next week for more. Remember, be all that God's called you to be.